In this prompt, we're going to ask you to experiment with failure. That is a catchy title. And in fact, what we're actually asking from you is to really do identifying failure. And in a very simple way, open a file with the wrong software.
In the text information for this prompt, you will find the details you need to do that. So we are recommending specific software. Some of you may already have it, but others may have to download it. And we are recommending free software that works on your computer or your mobile device. So as you open a file with the wrong software, it's important that you identify that original file. So pay attention to it. Choose a file that you think is interesting. It may be a PDF, an image that is relevant to you, like a JPEG, any type of image file format, or an important document like a United Nations treaty or something like that. So just that first selection is already important. But then as the software turns that by mistake into something that can be listened to, you've entered the next step in the project.
And that next step would be to start filtering out those things that you really like from those that you don't like. So let's say you have a text that at particular places produces a sound that really, really annoys you. Well, the next time you use a text, you will avoid those kind of stuff. But then, of course, you might find places where the text or the picture, whatever it is, gives you a wonderful result that you'd like to further manipulate. So then you manipulate your source at the beginning so that the result will be exactly what you want.
You may discover, in fact, that the color red in an image produces some of the nicest effects in the sound. Well, that may lead you to even change the image so that you use an image that has a lot more red or has a different set of color balance, right? The next step, which is the last one, is that we want you to actually, having done all that experimentation, use the sound that is the result of it and stage it publicly in some way. It can be a small, intimate gathering with friends, but it can also be a highly public situation. And it can be either the projection of sound from that sound file that you've produced through like loudspeakers or even shared headphones, whatever device you use. But it can also be an interpretation of it, working with musicians, friends of yours or people you work with, to present that sound material to an audience.
When arranging this new setting for the performance you might envision, think, of course, of how things are heard in a space. Maybe you have headphones, etc. But it's very important you think about perception and perspective, because when you usually open these files with the wrong software, you're probably listening by the speakers of your computer or your headphones. And that is not necessarily the most interesting hearing space you might envision. So think about all these concepts we've been talking about to place sound in the room in particularly interesting combinations.
And just to give you an example of that, depending on what your original file was that then ended up by mistake, intentional mistake, turned into sound or music, what was richest for some of you may have been something that needs to be expressed in short form.
Right.
So then you need to find a social setting that can deal with that, with the sound production being extremely brief. So that's what you're using the concept of time frame,
right.
Very deliberately. But some of you may have used an original file that creates something that is best when it lasts for like an entire day.
Right.
Right? And so that leads you to find a very different type of social setting.
Right.